welcome to the Ariel Show. Hope you're doing great. Today I'm going to be giving you a sneak peek into my personal journals and diaries. I have been journaling like a psychopath for years. Like, this is my thing. So I've got this whole box here. What does it say? Ariel, spiral notebooks and diaries, storage, not on the ground directly, please. And this thing, look at this. There's still half of it in here. And then all these up here. So there's probably 30 or 40 notebooks. But I started when I was probably like 7 or 8 in these cute little ones. So here's a little Barbie one. Here's Lisa Frank. We all remember good old Lisa Frank. And then just various cute little ones. And I like to start them and go about 9 pages in, and then I abandoned them. And I remember being, 10 years old and thinking that the start of a new journal was the start of my new life. So it felt like a new beginning for me every time. And I was really, just intentional about, well, like, this is my new life. This is how I feel. And so that was weird. And then when I got into junior high, I met my BFF, Katie, and we started journaling together. So we moved up from diary keeping, because that's what 5-year-olds do, to keeping actual journals. And so we each had these fat 5-subject spiral notebooks like this, which we had names for. This one was called the Sanity Records. This is my little drawing of me. It says mindless clone of society, which is what I thought that I was. And MKS was also the initials for Michael Kenji Shinoda from Linkin Park, who I thought was my boyfriend back then. Freedom can be frightening if you've never felt it. One of my favorite Linkin Park lines. And then these little pink tabs here are from some of my highlighted entries. I went through these journals recently because of the book that I'm writing, and it's part memoir, so I wanted to accurately be able to retell my story and just kind of where I was at as a teenager. And so, I mean, this is all, front and back, every single page is just my heart thrown onto the page. And when I've read through them now, as a grown-up, they don't make a lot of sense to me. And that was the point, was to capture my youth in the most honest, authentic way that I could, frantically, obsessively, because I didn't want to grow up and forget. And that was really important to me. I'm getting emotional just talking about it. I didn't want to grow up and become a numbed out, zoned out adult who just forgot everything and lost touch with my own soul, because that was the pattern that I'd seen. Teenagers are passionate, they are crazy, we have big hearts, we get it, we're conscious. And then I felt like the longer that people were alive, the more boring and numbed out they became. And I know that's not a nice way to talk about adults, but that was my honest view of it. And I wanted to record the way that I felt, and so that way if I ever ended up having teenagers one day, I could be a super awesome parent to them and not write them off. So this was another one of my favorite ones, titled My Day Away from the Institute. And I got arts and crafty with this one. And so these, more art on the back, these were my defining journals for me. And when I look back at them now, a lot of it makes me sad, honestly, about how jacked up I was. It freaks me out how crazy some of the stuff that I wrote about was, and how desperate, that was my everyday normal for several years, was just a lot of sadness and a lot of pain. So I'm really grateful that it's here and it's captured and it's in these and it's contained, because now I can access it whenever I want to, for example, while writing my book. But I don't have to remember these things consciously at the front of my brain. And so if, for example, I ever have teenagers and I'm like, what are you thinking? If my kids are anything like me, I will be able to go through these and these, all these, and be able to look through them and see what was going on. Aw, another Linkin Park one. And that's important to me, but it's equally important to me to not get stuck in my past and not let that affect my present or dictate what my future is going to be. So I am so glad that I kept as accurate a record as I did, and I'm so glad that I don't have to live like that anymore, and that doesn't have to be my reality. This is a book that me and my friend Heather wrote in 11th grade. It's called, it says there's a problem, there's a cure. I don't know what we were thinking. The title wasn't any good, but the actual musings in here we thought were brilliant in between class times. So I would get the notebook for a day and write all my thoughts, and then she'd get it for a day, and we kind of elaborate on each other, and it was like a conversational book basically, where we were gonna save the world and figure everything out. And I also have a ton of songs in here. Most of my poetry and songs were captured initially in journals. So that's there, and that's cool to look back on and see how I've grown as a songwriter. And I was thinking of some things that I've learned about journaling throughout the years. Now I actually use my computer because it's really hard to read my own handwriting, especially when I want to go fast. I can type faster than I can write. So I use an app for that I can sync with all my stuff, and that's really nice. And I've really learned that journaling is perfect for time travel. So for me, it gives me a way to objectively look at my life. Like I can travel back pretty instantly. Like I can go back to 10 years ago through a journal entry. It's like a portal into the past, and I can be there. At the same time, it's also a way to communicate with my future. Just like when I was a teenager and I wanted to communicate to my future self so I wouldn't forget what it was like that's what I'm still doing to this day. It allows me to very consciously see where I'm going realistically, accurately over a long period of time, because I can't lie to myself, because I can look and see, for example, if I read a journal entry from 2 years ago and I write down like, here's what my struggle is, here's what's really hard for me, and I realize that I'm still in that same place today, like that's kind of a problem for me. That means I haven't grown in this specific area in the last 2 years, and that means like, whoa, this is like a real thing for me. This has been holding me back for years. I need to focus some attention on this. You know what I'm saying? But here's the pitfall that I want to share with you, that whenever I encourage people to journal, I just it's a little caveat kind of thing that I want to share, and that is, don't use your journaling as a tool to feed into and to prolong your pain. It is totally cool to purge, so do that. Get it out of your system, but sometimes it can be a way of creating even more space for our sadness and just wrapping ourselves up in the emotion by going even deeper through really consciously writing about it and focusing on it. And there are some examples. This was really interesting to me when I read back these specific journals here. I would see something like, I'd write a bunch, and then the next date would be like 2 weeks down the road. I'd be like, hey, sorry I haven't had time to write. Life's been fine, and there hasn't been much to write about. And then I would just kind of sum some stuff up. And I made the connection that whenever I wouldn't write, I would come back and be like, there hasn't been anything too dramatic. And you wonder, like, what's causing what here? Am I not writing because there's nothing dramatic going on? Or is there nothing dramatic or traumatic because I'm not, feeding into it by over-obsessing over it, analyzing it, and writing it down? So that's kind of a little thought for you there. Like, don't get all weird and, magnify your own state of sadness. Magnify your joy. Why not choose that instead? So that's what I got for you. Lisa Frank till the end. Oh. Favorite color, purple. Favorite food, pasta. Favorite movie, Parent Trap. Favorite sport, baseball or basketball. That's a lie. I hated all sports. I just wanted to fill in the blank there at the front. Favorite pastime, Paul Bunyan Land. That is adorable, girl. Okay, so I gotta go. I love you guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye.